Let's do the other side of D'Amico Ryan. D'Amico Ryan's number one defense in the league. Hard to question him, but we're quality control, and we're looking forward, not back. And it seems to me that at some point, he's going to face another offense with some serious firepower, some serious weapons. He hasn't the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, he's faced offenses with no receivers. And so he's looked great. But this Jimmie Ward at nickelback thing seems to me like a disaster waiting to happen. He was giving up big plays to wide receivers I've never heard of in this game. And when Tashawn Gibson came out of the game at the end, Ward didn't go to free safety. I don't get it. What do you make of this?
Yeah, that was a good time. I mean, so I'm, even as a coach, I like to stay with the hot hand. And I actually think Gibson has been playing really well all year long. So I had mixed feelings about popping Ward in there, even though I really ultimately think Ward is going to be a better safety than Gibson. And he's proven it over a long period of time. And I think that this was the perfect opportunity, even though I'm not favoring they just rip Gibson out, even though he hasn't earned the reason to be ripped out. That was the opportunity last night. When Gibson went out, that's when you throw Ward in there, and maybe that's when you can just keep him there, let him do his thing. Mm-hmm. But instead, they threw Moore in for Gibson, and they kept Jimmie at the nickel. It's just mind-boggling stuff. Like, I really believe that was the perfect opportunity to pop Ward back at the safety in his natural position and give a guy like, I don't know, Womack or somebody the opportunity to play nickel. I think that's going to be a better overall defense for these guys. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And when I watched Jimmie, his interview after the game, he was talking about quarterbacks, but he just seemed like he just had a little chip. Like, I know Jimmie's a little like that anyways, but he doesn't seem like he's extremely happy with his current situation. But he's a professional, and he's doing, he's being a pro.
I'm not happy with his current situation. I mean, they're playing him out of position, and I don't see how they can justify it. Because, frankly, Jimmie Ward is not a good nickelback. Sorry, Jimmie, no offense. It's not your position. And, I mean, they drafted him to play nickelback. He didn't play it in college. He showed early on in his career, back when he was 23, 24, more athletic than now, that he really didn't have a matchup skill set advantage over wide receivers. He didn't. Now, when you put him against tight ends, he erases them. The best tight ends in the league erases them. And he is an elite open field tackler. As the last line of defense, he's going to make that tackle. That's a skill set. It's a defined skill set. It's a valuable skill set. It made him a top 100 player last year. And instead, now they're putting him at the line of scrimmage so he can be like, an outside linebacker in the run game, in the run defense, and a man-to-man cover guy against wide receivers he can't cover. I think Womack would actually give the Niners a better nickelback than Jimmie Ward. And I think Jimmie Ward would give the Niners a better free safety than Tashawn Gibson. No offense to Tashawn Gibson. Thanks for holding it down, but I don't understand why the Niners feel like he needs to be out there. He's not anything special.
In that particular position, when you're playing the nickelback, at least in coverage, against the run and blitzing, he might be fine at that. But when it's covering in the nickelback, when you're covering the slot receiver, you have to cover the entire field, right? Yeah. Jimmie Ward is how old is he now? 31?
Yeah.
I mean, like, so. You're literally guarding like the quickest dude on the team, and you have to cover the entire field left and right.
Yeah.
That's not his strength. That's not who he is. Womack is the guy, when I look at him, just from his skill set standpoint, who needs to be there, and Jimmie Ward needs to be in the back, keeping everything in front of him. I think him and Huff would do amazing together. So I really, really want to see that change, but it doesn't seem like that they're going to. I don't know.
Well, maybe D'Amico Ryans is the kind of guy who wants to slow play things, and this is an adjustment he could go to down the line. But I'm afraid that if they don't get to this adjustment by the first week of the playoffs, this is going to bite them. Eventually, some team is gonna figure out that Jimmie Ward is a liability at nickel, and they're gonna go after it. It's gonna be Ward and Lenore. Oh, I mean, last night the Chargers did that to an extent with Joshua Palmer and DeAndre Carter were making catches on Jimmie Ward and Diamador Lenore. Lenore had a pass interference penalty. Teams are gonna look at that and be like, man, I got serious wide receivers. Let's try the same thing with really good wide receivers, and then. Freaking D'Amico's going to be like, oh, I should have made this adjustment a month ago. So we're just trying to, maybe you think we're complaining, but we're just trying to anticipate potential problems.
And wouldn't you want Sam Womack to have some experience at the nickel spot before the postseason comes if he does end up making that change? I feel like now's the time to get him that experience.
Absolutely. I mean, the Niners have been real stingy with their rookies this year. They got Spencer Burford in there. Frankly, he hasn't played particularly well, but I guess they feel like they don't have a choice. They got to play Spencer Burford. Well, I think they should be playing Womack. I think he probably would be the most effective. The most effective rookies, I think, on this team, if they got a chance, would be Womack and undrafted rookie free agent Jordan Mason. But there's some rule that they can't play, except special teams. They're on the team to play special teams.
Well, I think we're going to talk about it more later, but I think Kyle Shanahan has trust issues when it comes to his players. He has a hard time trusting players. Certain players, if you show, like particularly rookies, obviously we see that one, but also if guys have shown him any kind of error or what's the word, weakness, he really never gives them opportunity. It takes a long time for him to give them another opportunity to prove that they can do it. So
I also look at it as he has sort of like there's a team and then there's a clique on the team. Mm-hmm. And there's like the inner sanctum of the team. He's in it, and the best, most popular players are in it, and those guys pretty much are above reproach. They get their playing time no matter what they're doing in the game, just because they've proven themselves and they are what they are in Kyle's mind. Everyone else has to prove themselves on a daily basis, and Kyle has very little patience until you get in that inner sanctum, and then you're made. You're made. It's like Goodfellas. You're made man at a certain point, and we all know who the made men are on the 49ers. Kyle's one. He has like a lifetime contract. And we all know who they aren't. So I think that's kind of interesting, a little interesting dynamic with this team.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Antonio says, and D'Amico and company. You were talking about, studs, Elijah Mitchell, Jennings, and Jimmy Garoppolo, Mexico week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel you, Antonio. He's excited for this game this week. So am I. John Taylor says, at some point, Ayuk can't keep getting praised for potential. His mistakes took points off the board. Kyle called a great game.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
So that fumble on Ayuk, like, I'm pretty sure 90% of people would have fumbled that ball. He was being spun around, and he got spun right into a helmet.
Also, he had to like catch a ball that was way over his head over the middle. I mean, it wasn't a great throw.
He caught several high throws yesterday. The only mistake that I'll give him yesterday was he dropped that touchdown to Jimmy. And maybe it was a hair behind Ayuk, but he should have caught it. But if you look at Ayuk's entire season, he's doing phenomenal. I mean,
drops are not an issue for him. He's actually very sure-handed. He had a much better game than Debo.
Yeah, a season. He's had a better season. He's the best receiver on the team right now. I'm not here for the Ayuk hate, man. Like, he's doing great. I mean, he dropped one touchdown. That's all.
But again, Ayuk isn't in the inner sanctum. He hasn't gotten his second contract yet. And so he is the one that gets analyzed and nitpicked. But Debo can do no wrong. Debo can go 2 catches on 6 targets for 24 yards, and people be like, oh, man, it's still Debo. Debo's great. Yeah. He was. It's a what have you done for me lately league. What have you done for me lately? Janet Jackson said it.
Right. And who was it? Was it Janet Jackson? Was that Paul Abdul?
It's Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson. I had a Paul Abdul flashback.
Sorry.
You had 6 receptions on 84 yards yesterday. Like, he led the team in receptions. But we want to pick on him because he dropped that one touchdown. Yeah, it'd been great if he dropped it. I don't blame that fumble on him at all. I mean, almost every receiver on that team is going to fumble that ball in that situation. He had 1 drop touchdown. Aside from that, he played a really great game, and he's had the best season of all the receivers on the team. So you're not going to get any BA hate from me this year. That
being said, catch the freaking ball, Brandon. Catch the because it was a great route. You spoiled it. It was it was a phenomenal route. And as well as Brandon Ayuk can play, he can take it to another level. He can be a little bit more consistent. But just in comparison to everyone else in the offense, he is there. The best players on offense are him, Elijah Mitchell, and Jeff Wilson Jr., who's no longer on the team. Those are the ones who bring it most consistently. Yeah. So, frankly, those are the ones.
Matthew, I thought it was funny. I don't know, maybe it's better to talk about later, but I thought it was I don't know. Are we covering Jimmy later? Just Jimmy?
He said Kyle called a great game. I have to disagree with that. We're going to talk about the offense, and we can talk about Jimmy. You want to talk about Jimmy now?
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to, because we were talking about Ayuk's drop, and so one thing I noticed with this fan base that I find interesting is that when Jimmy almost throws an interception, we're not allowed to talk about it. right? But then when Brandon Ayuk drops a touchdown, we got to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting, kind of conflicting that I noticed
Yeah.
with this fan base.
That's a good point. Matthew Sanders says Ward at nickel chasing TDs like Debo chasing paper. Ooh, that was a bar though. I liked it. A nice simile. Hero Winchester says, can we give Hufanga his flowers? He's a Pro Bowler. He's always around the ball. Is a big reason why this defense is number one. He's not Troy Pepa, damn near. Yeah, absolutely. He's really, really good, and he's one of these young players who sets the standard of effort and performance. It's funny. The young guy set the standard on this team, and he's one of them. It's been that way.
He's great off the field too. Like in the press conferences, I love that guy, man.
Yeah, he sealed the game with an interception. He came up there. He's like, I just want everyone to know that I gave up that touchdown. It was me. I got to play better. Yeah. It's like, all right, we weren't even going to say nothing, but okay, appreciate it. Antonio says, I don't think Mexico has a lot of places for practice. Some courts don't have good quality. Okay, fair enough. So Colorado Springs it is.